Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name is Thomas here with a post-match reaction from a very disappointing home loss to West Ham United. Of course, we've had this winning start at home in the Premier League this season. It's now been lost after losing 1-0 in quite a dire, disappointing performance, a lack of intensity, a lack of ruthlessness throughout, and obviously I'm going to get into the main points now, but overall, very disappointing. We'll start with the team news, really. When we saw that team sheet, Gordon, very unlucky, I thought, to be dropped after his performance against Manchester United. Iwobi came in, put in an absolutely dire performance. He was woeful. Obviously, we know that Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison are still out injured. We desperately need them back soon. They were my kind of instant reactions to the team news, and to be honest, most of that was kind of justified. I was disappointed to see Iwobi in the side, disappointed to see Rondon, and clearly for a reason. But first off, we really started with kind of a lack of any intensity or quality on the ball at all. Start with Rondon up front. He's not going to press like Calvert-Lewin does, and the rest of the team didn't have that kind of pressing intensity that we needed. We were quite happy to let them have the ball, and we've been happy to have sides let the ball quite a lot this season. But this game just it felt different at the start. We weren't pressing, we weren't counter-attacking, we couldn't string together any kind of pass and move at all. But as we always know, on the counter-attack, we have been quite dangerous with the likes of Townsend and Demarai Gray, who, to be honest, probably put in our best performances today, despite the fact that he couldn't really get any goal contributions when all you're crossing to is Iwobi and Rondon. But yeah, first off, I thought we were very disappointed. Kind of grew into it towards the end of the first half. Started creating a few more chances, but nothing really worth noting. Iwobi, of course, had that chance that kind of flashed across the face of goal, completely swing and a miss, and that was very disappointing. But that really did sum up his whole performance. Kind of going into the second half, no changes from either side. Maybe slightly surprising that neither manager decided to make a change until quite late in the match. Look, we grew into the game slightly. It was a better performance than how we started the first half, and I think we've seen that quite a lot this season. That we've gone in at half time. Rafa's clearly had a word. We've come out in the second half a lot better, pressing a lot higher, but it kind of didn't really result in any significant chances, purely because Rondon was completely off the pace. I know there's been arguments that in the past few weeks that he hasn't been fit. He didn't play football for 6 months or something before he arrived at the club. Didn't have a pre-season, really struggled, and obviously he was thrown straight in because of the injury to Calvert-Lewin. But I mean, he's miles off the pace, and he's been here for quite a few weeks now, so I can't really understand those arguments saying that he isn't fully fit. So a massively disappointing performance from him. I think he had a couple of shots on target purely from the brilliant deliveries from Demarai Gray and Andros Townsend, but they didn't threaten Fabianski at all, couldn't get proper connections on his headers, didn't press anyone, wasn't really linking up at all. So if we don't get Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison back soon, I'm very concerned about the future of the season, because Rondon clearly isn't up to the pace of the Premier League anymore. He had an alright spell with West Brom, decent spell with Newcastle, went to China. Okay, as I mentioned before, the arguments that have been made that he isn't fully fit, but now he's got to the point where he's had quite a few 90 minutes back to back now, hasn't done anything of note. And Lewis Dobbin on the bench maybe thought he could be in with a shout of coming on towards the end of the game, but didn't. Maybe disappointing for him. And Anthony Gordon, of course, came on a bit later on, a very late change, but he didn't really have any time to impact the game whatsoever. And in terms of the goal, look, it's a debatable corner, but Pickford has to be claiming that a lot better. Godfrey kind of mishits his clearance, ball goes up in the air. Antonio challenges Pickford. It did look like it did come off Antonio's head, so it shouldn't have been a corner. But the fact that Pickford can't get up high enough to just claim that is ridiculous, to be honest. He's got the advantage of being able to use his hands, as we know. And look, he has to be claiming that above Antonio. Doesn't take control of the box. Doesn't kind of assert his dominance at all. And the ball ends up going out for a corner, which is headed home by Ogbonna. Fairly straightforward set-piece goal by them. Without Yerry Mina in the team, we are going to kind of struggle maybe defensively from set-pieces after his kind of very curious... he's come back from a redless country, but he's allowed to be on the bench, but not the same bench as everyone else, so very strange. But kind of, it was a match where we never really looked like scoring. A few really decent deliveries from the wingers, as I mentioned, but, I mean, if there's no one on the end of them, we aren't going to score. Goals, set pieces were poor. I thought Michael Keane had a decent game, to be honest. I thought he put in a couple of decent blocks, some important tackles that kept the game level for so long. But we never looked like winning this game. We never looked like scoring. It was kind of just seemed like a matter of time before West Ham got the goal that they definitely deserved, especially from their first half performance. And then when they came back into the second half, and we kind of ended the game without any any intensity at all. We didn't look like we were a team that were 1-0 down for the final 15 minutes. We kind of laboured in possession. We weren't moving the ball quickly. We weren't exactly pumping the ball into the box, and I think it was pretty much summed up towards the end of the game, where it was literally last minute stuff. Ball goes up, Rondon's the only man in the box, wins a corner, which Godfrey heads over the bar. But a very disappointing performance, as I mentioned. There's not much that can be really said about that. We need Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison back, or we are going to massively struggle this season, especially considering that we don't have the squad depth of other sides, and we don't have the quality and depth of other sides, and that doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon. So do let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments. Check out the player ratings video as well. As I mentioned, really, really disappointing performance today. We've lost that winning start at home in the Premier League. Look, it's a massively disappointing performance. We have to improve very quickly, and we have to get those key players back. So thank you all very much for watching, and join us next time on the Toffee Blues.